Hi everyone, welcome back to my sewing studio. I'm so glad you are here. Today we are going to talk about some different heirloom sewing resources. So last week I put out a video on showing you different ready-to-wear garments that are out there, primarily blouses for women that use heirloom techniques such as pin tucks and lace insertion, and how that's very popular right now. And so giving you some inspiration and pattern ideas of how you could sew those looks for yourself. And of course, I will link to that video. But today I just want to give you some more help if you are interested in trying to do one of these garments. What are some books that you can look to, resources and references for these techniques. But first, if you are new, welcome. Let me introduce myself. My name is Lisa. I am the owner and designer of Pink Holly Bush Patterns, a line of sewing patterns for children's garments, most of which include an option for smocking, and most of which are designed for knits. So my background in sewing is smocking and heirloom sewing, and so I'm very excited to dive into this topic with you. Okay, so heirloom sewing and reference material, where are you going to find it? Well, I will have to say there is very, very little that is in print right now. You're probably looking at finding a lot of these books used. But the first one I have for you, and one of my absolute favorites, I hope you can see a little bit right here on my computer, is the A to Z of Heirloom Sewing. And the A to Z series was put out by Country Bumpkin out of Australia. They are no longer in business, but the rights have been purchased by Search Press in the UK, and they are republishing some of the books. Now, right now, I'm in the United States. I could not find this book even used at a reasonable price. But all is not lost. There is a Kindle edition. And so that's what you're actually seeing right now on my computer, is I've purchased the Kindle edition. Now I noticed as I was reading the Amazon reviews that a number of people complained that they couldn't read it on their Kindle, that they felt it wasn't formatted for the Kindle. I don't know if Search Press has changed that, but I have a Kindle and I have no problem reading it on there. But if you do, my preference anyway is I have downloaded the Kindle app onto my computer. Okay, and let me show you here. We'll get to a page that hopefully you can see there. Okay, I hope you can see that on the camera. Obviously, for copyright purposes, I don't want to let you read a whole lot of it, but you can see it's big. I can read it without any problem. As I said, I also don't have any problem reading it on my Kindle. I don't have an iPad, but I would assume if I can read it without a problem on here, if you download the Kindle app for your iPad, you'll be able to read it there as well. So it is a great resource. It covers all the basic techniques, so you would have them right there to just look them up whenever you needed them. So that is my first recommendation for you. My second recommendation is a book that is still available, and that is Fine Machine Sewing by Carol Ellis. This is, again, a fantastic resource and goes into all kinds of different techniques, even more than the A to Z of Heirloom Sewing. Differences between these books. So, well, let me first say, this was originally published in 1996. That is the copy that I have. It was updated in 2003 and revised. So still, right, pretty old. But why was it updated? Just in this book, she gives you all the sewing machine settings for the different machines in the very back of the book for the techniques she goes over. And she has like 20 or 30 different or even more machines that she's giving you the settings for. Of course, that is all outdated now. But the actual techniques, how you do the things, that hasn't changed at all. So if you can find a copy of this, and there are still new ones available at a reasonable price point, this is definitely worth it. So differences between these two books, and would you want both? It kind of depends. This has more in it than this one does. This is covering just the basics. A to Z, when they were doing the books, they were focused on children's garments, and so all of the photos that you will find in the Heirloom Sewing, A to Z of Heirloom Sewing, are of children's garments. This one, Fine Machine Sewing, is much more focused on on women's garments, and so find you, there's some children's as well, but you know, you'll find, it's white and you really can't see it too easily, but you will find women's garments where she's showing you how to embellish them. She also has quite a section in here, which would be great for now, of taking a purchased blouse, like a purchased linen blouse, which you can find so many ready-to-wear blouses right now, and then adding some of the embellishments, adding the lace or adding decorative stitching or pin stitching to just elevate that purchased blouse to really give it just that extra couture touch. So I see them as very different, and glad I own both of them. They help me think creatively in very different ways. So I hope that helps. Right, the next one I have for you is Precise and Professional by Lynn Weeks. This one was actually self-published, and so this is not something you're going to just find anywhere. This is one, if you ever see it in a Facebook group or on eBay and you can get yourself a copy, this is a great one to get. There are no photos. It is just the techniques, and they are very clearly laid out with lots of diagrams, and they just go through, you know, how do you attach lace? How do you work with the bias? Lynn is from Australia. She lived in the United States for a while. I had the joy of taking some classes from her. Phenomenal teacher, and this is very thorough of going through all of those techniques very clearly. Another benefit of that is if you have a Bernina machine, that is what Lynn works with, and so she gives you the settings for a Bernina machine. That doesn't mean you don't need to play with them, because not all Berninas are the same. We know that, but great place to start. And she also refers also to the Bernina feet as she's working with them, so that helps. Some other things you can look for. Well, one is Mimi's machine, Heirloom Sewing, and these you can find. Again, these are old. You're going to have to find them used on an eBay or on a Facebook group, but this is Mimi's machine, Heirloom Sewing, and what's her name? Mildred Turner is her name, who's Mimi, and there are 3 of them, 3 different ones, and she really goes through traditional heirloom techniques, but also traditional sewing techniques. So she goes through in these books how to sew the basic bishop, how to sew the square yoke dress, and she's very thorough with all of those. So the first one which is this one, Mimi's Machine Heirloom Sewing, goes through the basic techniques. The other two books get into more projects and more advanced techniques, and maybe are a little bit more dated in the style of garments they're showing. There's a lot of doll clothes included in them if that's something you're interested in, but probably the most helpful one would be this one. Okay. What else is out there? A couple more books, again used, but you can look for them, is Martha Pullen did French Hand Sewing by Machine. That was one of hers. Again, that would have all the techniques and you could find it used. Styles that are shown in there are pretty dated, but the techniques are great. And then another one that you can look for, I'm looking at my notes here and I wrote it down, where is Heirloom Sewing for Today by Sandy Hunter. So again, goes over those techniques, and that again would be something used you would have to look for. So hopefully one of these days we will get a new revised book of some of these wonderful techniques so they are not forgotten. And I hope, especially with the maybe some resurgence of popularity of some of these styles, we'll see more increased interest. So I hope this helps you out on your sewing journey. I would love to know if you are going to give an heirloom garment a try. Just pop down in the comments and let me know about that. I would love to know what you are sewing. And please remember to subscribe and follow along for more heirloom encouragement and smocking resources as well. Happy sewing!